curious to know this. How can somebody develop patience, to wait for an unanswered question? Because it's always there in anybody's and everybody's life. This one question is not answered. Yet I have to lead my life with patience. Patience, how should I develop?
So this is even more pertinent when it comes to our culture and traditions, because there are so many traditions that we wish to know the answers for. Why is this like that? Why is this like that? There are many questions that we want answered. However, it is obviously given that you cannot have the answer to everything. That is a rule, right? I mean, మన పెద్దవాళ్ళు మనకి ఏం చెప్తారంటే you don't drink your mother's milk after you understand its nutritional value. That being said, this is not an excuse to do everything blindly. So there is a balance between the two, wherein you do have to be inquisitive. You do also have to accept that you don't know everything at the same time. You cannot figure out everything at the same time. Where you do have to draw the line is, does this have precedent? So if I don't know something, first of all, the desire to know something is always good. The immediate next question that I usually ask is, do I need to know this or not? There is also a need to know basis, right? So obviously, if I say if my mother cooks some food, for example, in order to eat it, I have no need to know how it was cooked. I can just eat it. On the other hand, if let us say I'm watching my diet or something, then I do have a need to know how it is cooked. Right? You don't need to know how a house was built in order to live in it. So first of all, when we have questions, I think a great deal of confusion can be solved if we first figure out whether is this something that we have to spend time figuring out or not. The reason I'm saying this is because there are many traditions that we have that are not very time taking, that it is honestly pointless to question. In many festivals, మనం మామిడాకులు కడతాం. We tie mango leaves in the doorways. Why? What is the point of finding out? To be very frank, what will you do after finding out why you tie mango leaves in a doorway? Whether you tie it or not, the reason is the same, and it is not that it is something that is requiring a great deal of your effort and money. Just do it. If there is an answer, you will find it out later. Until then, there is no need to waste your mental energy on figuring out why something is happening. This is one thing. On the other hand, there should always be, Swamar garu చెప్తుంటారు ఏమిటంటే, you should always seek out resources. So many a time, what happens is the mental anguish or strain that we get from having an unanswered question is because we try to find it ourselves. Which again, I'm not discouraging questioning, but especially in matters wherein we are not very experienced, it is only sensible that you ask someone who does in fact have experience. So the ability to seek out resources is in fact, it is a skill. I feel it is a skill. Not everyone has the ability to know where they should go for what. In fact, in my school days, they used to take special sessions in the computer lab to teach us how to Google search. Because what keywords you put will determine what comes out. Especially in academia, in these research article databases, there are particular ways that you have to search in that if you want particular answers, or if you want to get a particular set of information, then you have to search accordingly. So the ability to know where to search is required in any field of knowledge. So the thing becomes, how do you then decide what to search and where to search for? So అదంతా మనం చూసుకుంటే it will save us a lot of time in how we react to unanswered questions. Now, this is all a background for your question. How to develop patience is, it is there also I think a practical approach to anything is always the simplest approach. The first thing is, I mean, you are asking about in regards to questions, right? For unanswered questions. So the first thing is that, what do I need to do now? ఇప్పుడు చేయాల్సిన కర్తవ్యం ఏముంది? Can my knowing the reason of this wait or not wait? That is to say, is the need to know urgent, or is it something that can happen over time? If we understand this, you can then decide whether you have to be patient or not. ఇప్పుడు ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మన వాళ్ళకి చాలా ఆచారం, ఇప్పుడు ఎవరో కాలం చేశారు, ఇప్పుడు నా మైల్ అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఏం చేయాలి? దిస్ కెనాట్ వెయిట్ బికాజ్ ఇట్ డిటర్మిన్స్ యువర్ ఇమీడియట్ కోర్స్ ఆఫ్ యాక్షన్. సో యూ కెనాట్ బీ పేషెంట్ హియర్. లెట్ us say ఏదో ఆచారం కోసం ఏదో ఇల్లంతా తొడవాలి అని చెప్పి అన్నారు. లెట్ us say that for some ఆచార they said that you have to wipe the house. your wiping the house is not contingent on you knowing why you have to wipe the house once. So you can proceed with your life while knowing that there will be a later time wherein I can seek an answer. See, many a time where we get a conflict is at the time of action we start theorizing. This is where that the patience becomes a problem, because once you predicate your action on you knowing everything about it or you being satisfied with your knowledge about it, you are not letting yourself go forward. In any action, the point is to go forward. You have to do what has to be done next. Anything that comes in the way of that, even it is finding out some things, is not a productive approach. There is a productive way to finding things out. That is not finding things out when the matter is upon you. In fact, that is told in the beginning of Gita also. So when Arjuna says, I don't want to fight now, or I don't know if I should fight or not, Krishna says, this is not the time to ask that question. If you wanted to ask that question, you should have asked that when all the delegations were being done before. When you have come to the battlefield, don't ask why you are fighting now. You have figured something out and you have come. If you want, you fight, and then you figure out if you have to fight or why you fought. But once a reasoned decision has been made, there is no point in theorizing then. Kutastha kashmalabinam vishame samapasthitam. When the time for action is upon you, why are you breaking your head with theoretical questions now? So this is not the right way to ask. This is what Krishna told them. It is equally applicable now in that if we have an unanswered question, first figure out when you need it answered. And then if you understand when you need it answered, your mind itself will be able to wait until then. So the context of the question is what will determine whether we are patient or not.
Understood. Vidwanji, what role arts, poetry or dharmic literature will have to play in healing modern mind?
I would say the first ability it gives us is the ability to think outside the box. Because, science does that too, but any leap in science has always been made by someone who has thought outside the box. Practice of science or the study of science requires you to interpret things that are given to you. There are some laws or some theories that are there.
Yeah.
How you interpret facts is the realm of science. What the arts do is they allow you to react and adapt. That is what they do in a very nice way. Because the beauty of the art lies in taking something that we know and attaching it to something that we perhaps maybe had not even thought of. ఇప్పుడు తెలిసిన దానికి మనం అసలు ఊహించిన దానికి సంబంధం పెట్టినప్పుడే ఆ కళ బాగా మనకి ఆకట్టుకుంటుంది. So whether it be a song or poetry, especially in poetry, it is most seen in poetry, or in dance or in drawings or anything, it is not just novelty. I think that is also one thing that people miss these days. They say that everything has to be so novel that they forget that the connection comes from something that we already know. It is only when both of these are connected that an art becomes truly novel. And it is that ability to see those connections that really helps us in art. And especially when it comes to poetry. So the life of poetry is upamana, that is a simile. In fact, almost 90% of alankaras and poetic ornamentation are more or less different prabhedas, different forms of simile. The beauty of simile is it allows us to see similarities where there are barely any. And this is also, as I said earlier, this is one thing that as Indians we have become so used to. ఇప్పుడు ముఖం ఎలా ఉంటుంది చెప్పండి.
చంద్రబింబంలా
It is in our blood, right? The face is like the moon. Have you ever seen a face and thought that it looks like the moon? అంటే మీకు ఎప్పుడైనా అనిపించదు అట్లా నిజంగా?
చెప్పున్నాను 2-3 సందర్భాలు.
We will say these things. కదా, hopefully to the right people, right? But we will say all of this, right? We will say that అబ్బా వాడి ముఖం చంద్రబింబంలాగా ఉంటుందండి is what we will say. But do we understand what it means? అంటే వాడి మొహంలో గుంటలు ఉన్నాయని చెప్పి, ఎందుకంటే చంద్రబింబంలో గుంటలు ఉంటాయి, వీడి మొహంలో గుంటలు ఉంటాయా? To understand what it means for a face to be like the moon, these are two completely different things. In fact, if you showed someone who did not know this and you showed him a face and the moon, a photograph of the moon, I doubt he would be able to connect the two. Right? And okay, at least the face and the moon are round and bright. ఇప్పుడు కళ్ళు ఎలా ఉంటాయండి? What are eyes like? చేపలు or even more frequently
కలువలు,
lotuses or lilies, right? If you give someone a photo of a lotus and you show them an eye, I really doubt whether they will be able to put the two together. However, the beauty lies in the fact, see, these two, the face and the moon and the eye and the lotus, have become so common to us that they do not, in fact, even in me, they do not generate any aha in me even now. But if we look at what it means that the ancient Indian mind was able to see similarities in two completely different objects. ఇప్పుడు ఎక్కడో some fish is in the water somewhere, an eye is on the face on land, and yet we have been able to see that there is a similarity in both. And not just similarities, there is also one more thing that Indian arts have done, which is called Saundarya Drishti. In seeking out these similes, we have sought out beauty in every single object that is there. We have figured it out. So, for example, I do not think you can name an object that has not been used as a beautiful simile for something, including the night.
Yeah.
Even including the night, including a crow, including dirt, even the most mundane thing that we can think of has been used as simile for something or the other, simply because we have been able to pinpoint where its true beauty lies. So what this does is, it tells us that beauty is not uniform. Every object has a beauty to it. What arts do is, it allows us to see that. So ఇప్పుడు రాత్రిపూట ఉంది, I mean the night is there, it is very easy to be annoyed and say it is so dark you don't see anything. There is a beauty in darkness too. There is a beauty in not being able to see anything. I mean there is a beauty to that.
Yeah.
Which is why when you describe something extremely terrific, a name that we usually use is Kalaratri. మీరు ఇది వినుంటారు, ఈ పదం వినుంటారు. So that is a Kalaratri is a night wherein there is not even a speck of light. So it is a terrific beauty, but it is beauty nonetheless. See, there is a, we are saying it is beauty because when you read it, it evokes an emotion in you that you enjoy experiencing. One more thing that okay, I'll come to that later. But in this way, even in night, in darkness, which usually we would abhor, we will find beauty even there. And in the end, the best thing that the arts would do for us, that I would say, is that it allows us to enjoy experiences regardless of whether they are pleasant or not. The entire concept of Navarasa, in the Navarasas there are 3 or 4 rasas that are not pleasant. So alongside Karuna and Shanta and all is also Bibhatsa, Bhayanaka, horror, terror, disgust, grief. When it comes to arts, we enjoy these.
Yeah.
When it comes to our life, we try to get rid of them. ఇప్పుడు even a simple example is the Lion King. When you say that lion cub's father died,
Yeah.
I remember when I was young, I cried for that. That scene, for a child, I took that because for a child, that scene was heartbreaking. But yet he enjoyed that movie, perhaps because of that scene. That scene made the movie enjoyable. Now, if a similar heartbreak had happened in another child's life, would he have enjoyed that? Absolutely not. So what the arts teaches is, they teach us to enjoy experiences without being attached to them. If one can truly do that, he should be then able to apply that to his life as well. So the ability to enjoy grief as grief, the ability to enjoy fear as fear, the ability to enjoy something disgusting as disgusting. Enjoy ante, it is not that you have to revel in the fact that it is disgusting. The ability to appreciate it for what it is, and not దానికి వ్యతిరేకంగా ఉండకూడదు. ఇది ఉంటే నా వల్ల కాదు అన్నట్టు కాదు. యూ షుడ్ నాట్ బీ ప్రెజుడిస్డ్ ఆర్ సెట్ అగేన్స్ట్ ఇట్. వాట్ ఎవర్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్సెస్ కమ్ యువర్ వే, యూ షుడ్ బీ ఏబుల్ టు ఎంజాయ్ దెమ్ యాజ్ అన్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్. సో that is where the arts really come in terms of molding an individual. Someone who has gone through the sciences or the Shastras will have a very realistic approach to the world in terms of how he interprets things. What the arts will do is, they will give you the ability to experience things. So the world is made up of these two. You see things and you experience things. So the Shastras will tell you how to see things properly. The arts will tell you how to experience things properly. So the arts, if truly pursued for the sake of art, it will do this. It will allow you to detach from emotion such that the emotion becomes an object of enjoyment and not a weak point. See, many a time, the reason why we undergo some grief or the other is because it is tied to an emotion that has been upset. We had some happiness that was now yanked away, or we had a grief that is now applied onto us. All of these emotions cause us distaste because we apply ourselves to them. Instead, if you detach yourself from them and you are able to view them as it is, this is the situation. There is in fact some rasa that is conveyed in the world. There is always a rasa for every situation. There is no situation that does not have some sentiment or the other. The ability to appreciate it for what it is and not be perturbed by its implications is what the arts will give you.
So basically, acceptance is inspired from arts.
Yeah, not just acceptance, I would say appreciation also.
Association.
ఇప్పుడు అంటే అనకూడదు కానీ ఇప్పుడు ఎవరైనా కాలం చేశారు. ఐఎమ్ సేయింగ్ దిస్ బికాస్ ఇన్ ద శాస్త్రాస్ ఆల్సో దేర్ ఆర్ సమ్ సిచ్యువేషన్స్ వేర్ ఇన్ లైఫ్ బికమ్స్ వెరీ క్లియర్ టు ఎవ్రీ వన్. అండ్ వన్ ఆఫ్ దోస్ థింగ్స్ యాజ్ వి సే ఇన్ తెలుగు ఆల్సో ఇట్స్ కాల్డ్ శ్మశాన వైరాగ్య. The vairagya, the detachment that comes from seeing death in front of you. So when a family member passes away, right, obviously the situation there is it is somber. It is not at all a happy situation. Now, obviously we can wallow in that grief. That is to say, we can let the grief overcome us. Or you can appreciate the grief for what it is. So if you see grief for what is grief, it is the understanding that there was something beautiful that no longer is there. Something that we liked that no longer is there. Now when we say this, it sounds very nice, right? There was something beautiful that was fleeting, it came and it went. This is in fact a very nice sentiment. Ayyo vaadu vellipoyaru is grief. Now the first sentiment that I talked about is in fact still grief. The fact that there was something beautiful that is no longer there with us is still grief. However, this is not grief that renders us weaker. It is grief that allows us to see the situation for what it is and in fact embrace that. So what the arts do is, it is not just understanding the situation, it will allow us to appreciate it. ఏ అనుభవాన్ని కూడా మనం ఏవగించాం, ఈ అనుభవం బాగాలేదు అని చెప్పాను. అన్ని అనుభవాలు బాగుంటాయి. ఆ అనుభవంగా ఇది శృంగారంగా బాగుంది, వీరం బాగుంది, హాస్యం బాగుంది, కరుణం బాగుంది. అంతవరకు అవేవో వచ్చాయి వెళ్ళాయి. ఏ రసం, ఎనీ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఈజ్ నాట్ పర్మనెంట్, ఇట్ విల్ కమ్ అండ్ గో. సో ది ఎబిలిటీ టు సీ దోస్ ఫ్లీటింగ్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్సెస్ యాజ్ అ ఫ్లీటింగ్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ and still appreciate them. You do not, it also, that is why the Alankara Shastra also does not dismiss them. The fact that experiences are fleeting does not mean that we have to dismiss them. Most people do have to live with them. However, you don't have to live with them opposed to them. You can live with them while appreciating them, and at the end of the day, that is what rasa gives you.
Vidwan Garu, you have been blessed to be taught or learn with the blessings of Jagadgurus in Sringeri. Could you please share some profound lessons that you have learned or you've been taught from the Jagadgurus?
The Jagadgurus of Sringeri are most deserving of the word Jagadguru, in the sense that anyone that comes to them will find something or the other to take away that will change their lives for the better. This is a uniform experience across the board. The main thing that I really like in the Jagadguru is, or that I pay homage to, or that I revere, what is the fruit of knowing so much Vedanta and following Sampradaya? What is the point? All the noble qualities and a very elevated outlook, very balanced perspective, all of that is seen in the Jagadgurus. So, I mean, the magnanimity of thought that they show is in fact very surprising, and we see this repeated in each Jagadguru. The 34th Jagadguru of Sringeri, Chandrasekhar Bharati Mahaswamiji, was once approached by someone else from a different religion, saying, I want to convert into Hinduism. Any other religion would have jumped at the chance for a new convert. Any other religion. I mean, it is not that I am discriminating, that is the fact. All religions are so desperate for converts that they would have jumped on this chance and in fact maybe asked him to bring 2 or 3 more friends with him. But it is a mark of the Jagadguru that you belong to a particular tradition. You do not have to seek fulfillment outside that. You do your duty is the response that was given, which is such a noble response that was given. No, it is not like the Jagadguru is saying that, one path is better than the other. When you have someone that has come from a particular background, why displace him? So Krishna says this exactly in the Gita when discussing what a jnani is like. Ta nakritsna vido mandan kritsnavin navichalayet. A proper jnani should not disturb the minds of those who are not ready for that yet. So that is in fact a very profound concept. the ability to gauge who needs what at what point of time and teach accordingly. One more thing that I remember, a very similar thing that has happened with Jagadguru Sannidhanam Varu is that once one group of when some Vedanta study group had come from the US to Sringeri. Now, it was not required that all of the people who study the Vedantic philosophy had to be Hindus in that group. They had respect for the Hindu tradition. So, one lady had come and she asked that my husband had passed away recently. I would like to do something for him in Sringeri. So, see, anyhow, any response could have been given. You pay for some puja here, put this, do that. The first thing that the Jagadguru asked then was, has everything been done as per your tradition? Is the first question that the Jagadguru had asked. Me paddhati prakaram edaithe jaragalo adanta chesesara. If so, I will now tell you what else you can do. See, the magnanimity of mind to ask that first. The idea that we should not impose ideas. Everyone has the freedom to do what they need to do. After that, we can give them whatever guidance that they need. So the magnanimity to ask that, has everything been done as per your traditions? If yes, then you take some deepas and you light them and you put them into Tunga, is what the Jagadguru had told them. So I remember this had actually happened within a few weeks of me leaving the US and coming to Sringeri, but this stayed in my heart that okay, this is why they are revered in this way, because I have seen the meaning of what it means to be a Jagadguru. It is not just South India, it is not just India. If someone comes from the West, from the US, they are getting such a universal magnanimous answer that does not upset anyone but yet guides them towards the right path. That incident really stayed with me. It is a mark of the nobility of character. That aside, if it comes to Shastric lessons that are taken, especially Sannidhanam Varu, I mean, I have only had the fortune of having lessons under Sannidhanam Varu. Mahasannidhanam Varu had finished classes by the time that I had come to Sringeri. But Sannidhanam Varu, one very unique quality in the teaching is that the Jagadguru has the ability, I mean, I'm saying has the ability, it is their tapas shakti and all that, but they have this unique capability, Sannidhanam Varu especially, to teach incredibly quickly but still with great clarity. So I remember there were some texts that were taken at breakneck speed. That is to say, usually to study the text properly with a daily class should have taken some 5-6 months. The text was finished in 2 to 3 months, but yet without compromising on the understanding of the student. So it is not that we were given some makeshift understanding of the text. I can say confidently that we have gotten a very thorough understanding of the text exactly as it should be taught through tradition. But the ability to teach at such high speeds without compromising on the clarity of information transmission is something that I was in fact very struck by. So that was also in just if we look at it as a raw teacher-student relationship, the ability to teach like that is something that is very astounding. And again, there too, that will come only when the teacher is so erudite and rooted in the knowledge that he is teaching. Only when the teacher is like that will such facility come when they are teaching. So the qualities of a teacher that our Shastras have talked about, the qualities of a Guru are all very clearly seen when the Jagadguru takes a lesson. So every single class that we have, I look forward because the teaching is kept in that method. It is always kept with an energy, a sense of pushing forward, of exploring new topics, and the ability to enjoy the intellectual discussions that are going on. It is one thing to teach Shastra in a very dry way. It is one thing to teach it with an appreciation for the depth of intellectual discussion that is going on. Because it is in fact very intellectual. The ability to enjoy that is something that a good teacher will be able to pass on to the student. And that is 100% the case in the situations of the students of the Jagadguru, wherein intricacies and in fact even difficult portions of texts, we do not struggle through them, we look forward to them. So that is one more great quality of a Guru, wherein you help your students enjoy the challenges. It is not just that you help them get through it.
Yeah.
You enable them to enjoy it and become capable of going through it. So the Jagadguru has that unique capability in teachings wherein if there is a very tough part of a lesson, it will be taught in such a way that that lesson is in fact even more enjoyable than an easy lesson. So, and it will be seen in the way that the Jagadguru teaches. When there is a tougher part, Acharya looks forward to teaching that. So, when we see that in the teacher, and when the teacher teaches in that way, it obviously inspires that same enthusiasm in the student as well. So many, just if we just look at it as a normality, forget the fact that Jagadgurus, Tapasvis, Yogis, if we put that aspect aside, just as a teacher and a student, there are so many aspects to the perfection of teaching that can be seen in the Shastra Pathas that the Jagadguru takes. So it is certainly the fortune of many lifetimes that I have been blessed with an opportunity to study under his Padapadmas, the Jagadguru's Padapadmas.
When talking about Jagadgurus, then I would like to ask this. The Anushthana of Sringeri Jagadgurus is always said, and we all realize that, as the highest order with the divine grace. Could you please take us through the insight and kindly please tell us something more details?
The Anushthana of the Jagadgurus is there. We can arguably say that it occupies the highest place of prominence in their day-to-day things. The two eyes of the Pitha are Adhyayana and Anusthana. That is to say, knowledge and regimen, tapas, Anusthana. So it is the case that Anusthana is never compromised on in the schedule of the Jagadguru. So especially, for example, right now the Jagadguru is undertaking a yatra in South India. We see that regardless of how taxing the day is, so the day is starting well before 4 a.m., before the Brahmi Muhurta, and the Jagadguru is sitting and giving darshana, especially in cities like Hyderabad and Chennai, until almost 4:30 without even drinking water, and sitting like this without moving. And the night activities go, by the time the Jagadguru finishes Chandramashra Puja and retires for the day, sometimes it is 11:30, 12. And yet Anushtana is not compromised on. There is never been a situation where there are too many programs, Anushtana can be postponed. That will never be the case in Sringeri. It is always the reverse, that all programs will be arranged around Anushtana. So even when it comes to travel, travel will never be undertaken for more than a particular distance, not for the sake of physical comfort, but because Anushtana has to happen at those 3 parts of the day. In the morning, afternoon, evening, Anushtana has to happen. And that too, Madi and Acharya and all of that have to be followed. There is no compromise on that at all. So this uncompromising rigidity in Anushtana is very clearly seen to us in the Jagadguru's daily regimen. And as to what that Anushtana compromises of, that is not our place to comment on that. Those are of course private. But there are many mantra japas and dhyanas and all that are done. The practice of yoga is also there, is in a parampara of the Sringeri Jagadguru. So the Ashtanga yoga of the asana, pranayama, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, all of those are there in the daily regimen of the Jagadguru. And we see that there have been many Jagadgurus of the Pitha who have been acclaimed yogis and who have attained yogic siddhi. For example, 35th Acharya of the Pitha, Sri Abhinavavidya Swamiji, attained Nirvikalpika Samadhi at the mere age of 16. So, and his experiences have all been recorded in the sense that what happened every day, what all rigor, what all regimen that the Jagadguru used to take every day or used to do every day, all of that has been recorded in text. So when we see such things, we have nothing else to say but that they are Mahapurushas who have come to earth solely for the purpose of protecting Dharma and blessing this country. And one last thing that I also do want to say is the purpose of the Anushtana. So, the Jagadguru themselves have told the other day that there is, especially as sannyasis, sankalpa taken during Anushtana has nothing to do with their own well-being or their own health even. So the only sankalpa that they take is loka kalyanartham, for the sake of everyone being well. So many people get the question, in such a modern day when we have, we have a government and we have all of these things, why do we need to pay so much attention to the blessings of all these Swamijis and sannyasis and sadhus and all? It is because, again, the Indian outlook is more than just what goes on in the physical world, right? So a portion of the Anushthana of a sannyasi is dedicated to the society. So in fact, we were talking about literature also. So if you read literature, you will get an answer to this. So in Kalidasa's Abhignana Shakuntala Natakam అని చెప్పి అంటుంటాం, the story of Shakuntala, Kalidasa's most renowned play, someone comes to Dushyanta and says, you are a king. Why are the rishis asking you to come to them? Why don't you only call them to you? You are the Maharaja. And immediately Dushyanta says, we should not demand anything from such rishis and maharshis and tapasvis, because the grace that they are giving us is something that we cannot repay. It is just because they maybe do not pay as monetary tax does not mean that we are somehow not indebted to them. He says, Yaduttishtati varnebhyo nripanam kshayitat phalam. Whatever society contributes to the welfare of, contributes to the government means to the welfare of society, all of that becomes exhausted after a certain point. Right, whatever tax we give, once that the next year's budget comes, whatever we have spent is gone. But tapas shadbhaga makshayam tapasair diyate hinaha. When rishis do tapas, a sixth of that tapas is dedicated to the welfare of the country. So it is not that the rishis or yatis or sannyasis are doing tapas for themselves. The tapas that they do is dedicated for this. So this, a sixth of the tapas was mentioned because in ancient India and medieval India, the righteous amount of tax, న్యాయంగా పెట్టవలసిన పన్ను అంటే the right amount of tax was 1/6. Now the tax code is so crazily confusing, but back then it is whatever your output is, 1/6 of that goes to the society, goes to the government, which I think is honestly a very nice number. It is not a number that inconveniences too many people. And okay, changing times. But then they said that the rishis give 1/6 of the tapas because back then there were also rishis who are doing sadhana for themselves. So something will be done for them and 1/6 of that will be given for society. When it comes to the case of pithas, the 4 Amnaya pithas and especially the Jagadgurus, there is nothing that is done for themselves. Nothing is done for themselves. It is all the Anushthana and the tapas and the japa and everything that is done is solely for the sake of this dharma and this country. That too not because it is only this dharma and this country. It is because this dharma and this country have a unique capability to foster harmony amongst many other different dharmas in many other different countries. I mean, because we see that we have never started a war, either now or in the past. We have never incited any aggression. We have never had the habit of sending out missionaries for conversion. We have never had the habit of converting by the sword. We have never had the habit of causing any destruction to any other faith at any point of time. So there is a unique quality to this tradition that allows for a peaceful coexistence. So it is because this tradition has that specific care has to be taken to preserve this. And this tradition is rooted in this country. So for the benefit of this tradition and the benefit of this country, the Jagadgurus dedicate their entire Anushthana every day. Every day the Chandramaheshwara Puja that is done by the Jagadgurus is intended solely for this. And earlier when we say that the Jagadgurus do not skip Anushthana at any given point of time, part of it is of course because it is Sampradaya, it is a rule, it is Shastra, so there is no deterrence from that. The second being, their goal is also, the Jagadguru's goal is also that everyone be happy. So whatever they do for that, why would they ever compromise on that? So because the goal of their Anushtanas and the pujas is all a singular goal, which is the welfare of all mankind, they will never compromise on the Anushtana which they do for the welfare of all mankind. At least if we understand this much about the Anushtanas of the Jagadgurus, we will appreciate what it is that a Guru does for the Shishyas.
I want to go a little more deeper and ask this. Vidwan, someone like you is very close to living in Sringeri Peetam at the feet of the Jagadgurus. Just want to ask, how is life there and anywhere else? How do you...
Sringeri is a place like no other. The second you cross you come into the boundary of what is Sringeri, something changes in the air. It is just, there is a serenity to the place there. And you realize why Shankaracharya Bhagavad-pada chose that place to put a very important pita. Peace of mind is the first thing that comes to thought. there are many Divya Kshetras. All are equally efficacious. It is one Bhagavan who is present in all of these, as Shiva, as Vishnu, as Devi, as Ganapati, in all these Kshetras. It is only one Bhagavan. And that one Bhagavan obviously is equal to all. So it is not that he will be more powerful in one place and less powerful in some other place. We cannot compare Tirupati Venkateshwara and Ahovala Narasimha. Who will we say who is greater? It is one Paramatma in both places. But that being said, the experience of the user interface, the experience of the Bhakta, many Kshetras, experience of Bhagavan is very divine, and of course the power of Bhagavan and the Sanidhya of Bhagavan in that Kshetra will be there. But there is also a kind of hadavadi, a kind of hustle and bustle that will come with Kshetras sometimes. Sringeri is unique in that it is completely devoid of that. There is a serenity that is natural to the place. Even when there is a crowd, it is somehow still peaceful. So that peace is just in the air of Sringeri. That too, great care has been taken to ensure that, especially the side of Sringeri that the Jagadgurus reside on, which we call Narasimhavana, it is kept as natural as possible. So there are still lots of trees, the river still flows through cleanly. There are herds of deer that roam in the forests there, hundreds of deer that roam in the forests there. So all in all, it is a very serene atmosphere and a very serene environment. So when we sit there, it brings extreme peace of mind. It is very conducive to sadhana. So even the Jagadgurus have told me once that there is stated outright, there is no place like Sringeri. If at all there is a place like Sringeri, there is one more place where we can feel that Bhagavan is there and the atmosphere is quiet. That the Jagadguru had told me was Kalki, which is the birthplace of Shankaracharya. So there too, I had the fortune of being able to have darshan in Kalki a few months ago.
Kerala.
In Kerala, it is very similar. Here it is a Tunga river. There the river Purna is there. Just as here there is a Narasimhavana. There too there is a groove. There is a Thotam Nakada. It is the temples are in the middle of that, and there too it is very, very peaceful, very serene, very anukula, very conducive to Anushthana and all. So peace is what comes to mind when we think of Sringeri.
Wow.
And a life there too, I mean, if we go there with the right values, a simple life in such a serene environment is enough. You don't need luxuries, you don't need many commodities. You can make do with what is there and be very happy there. More happy than you would be if you had all the luxuries in a modern city. Bereft of all of those luxuries, I have found myself much, much more happy when I am there. And I am fortunate that I have the fortune of reside. I am very fortunate that I am able to reside there through the grace of the Jagadgurus.
Vidwanji, you are blessed, and I wish you bless all of us watching this for darshan at Sringeri.
Oh, so since you said darshan at Sringeri, one more beauty in the Alaya of Sharadamba is that the Jagadguru has told this also, that especially in Karnataka, the old temples, so every state has its style. For example, if you go to Kerala, all the temples look the same there. It will be the same. One outer wall, low outer wall will be there. One Dhajastambha will be there. One thing will be around that where you can put deepas. Then there will be steps up into the Garbhagriha. The Garbhagriha will be tiny. Then there will be 2 big deepas. Every temple looks like this in Kerala. It will be like a carbon copy almost.
Okay.
In Karnataka, the one practice is there that the alayas, the Garbhagriha is, the dwara will be a bit small, such that you have to go close to the Gadapa Dagarki. You have to go close to it to see the Devata. But when the temple of Sharadamba was reconstructed in the 1900s, it was done in such a way that you can have darshan without even having to enter the outer wall of the temple. So you can stand from outside, look in and still see Devi clearly. I mean, every time I even go into the temple is one thing. Every time I even pass by and I see Devi from outside, this comes to mind that, I mean, Devi is very compassionate, but how nice was the thought of the Jagadguru when directing the construction of the temple, that even if you have the time to enter the temple or not, you should still be able to have darshan of Devi and go. It is such a beautiful thought.
Yeah.
So Devi, you can have darshan of Devi from outside the temple also, in fact from many meters away, almost a couple of dozen meters away. Even if you stand a couple of dozen meters away, you can still have a clear darshan of Devi, Sharadamba. So yeah, that is one more. Since you said darshan, it is a specific attribute that is there.
So please kindly bless us, all of us, to get one darshan at Sringeri. Vidwanji, here is one more thought, little deeper. but I think you are the only one who can ask this. See, all the Sringeri Jagadgurus are manifestations of Sri Adi Shankaracharya, united by same realization of truth, yet each radiating a distinct aura and also their expression. So how do you see this balance between the divine sameness and the unique individuality?
Question is in fact very nicely crafted, because you have hit the nail on the head in terms of why they are all the same. That they are all incarnations of the same Jagadguru, and they all have the same jnana. That realization is equal in all. Therefore, the reason why similarities are there is, therefore the values that guide their actions are all in line. That is the conclusion, right? If all are standing at the same point of realization, then it means that all are similarly poised towards their interactions with the world. The second thing that we see is that shloka that we had discussed earlier, wherein a king deals with the public in many ways, some qualities that the public are in awe of and therefore maintain a distance, some that in fact encourage the public to seek out their refuge. In fact, I think, forget about what I said about public interaction earlier, that shloka is 1000% applicable to the Jagadguru. And this is completely my theorization, that as the Jagadgurus go by, the balance in these qualities sometimes changes. For example, the 32nd Jagadguru, Vriddha Nrsimha Bharati Mahaswamiji, sometimes also called Ugra Nrsimha Bharati Swamiji, was a great tapasvi, a great upasaka of Narasimha Swami, a very towering personality and great Mahatma. He was also a Jagadguru and a Jnani and very merciful and all. But people would sometimes be fearful to approach him. It is recorded that sometimes he used to do japa of the Narasimha mantra for 20 hours a day. And so the effect of that was seen such that sometimes when people saw the Jagadguru's face, they would think that it was Narasimha Swami's face that they saw. So, I mean, what did the Jagadguru do for that? Nothing. It is just a natural result of a particular upasana and Anushthana that is done. But there, for example, in the Bhima Kanta Gunas, the awe-inspiring qualities are a bit more. On the other, in the same way, Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamiji also. The Acharya was Jivan Mukta and very introverted, in the sense that there are some jnanis who do choose to interact with the world, there are some jnanis who choose to retract. So Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamiji always tended towards that introverted privacy kind of thing. So people used to be a bit cautious about approaching and asking many things very freely. So these kinds of things come solely due to the individual personalities, but and the individual Anushtanas and all of that. But one thing that we do see everywhere is that there is always, what do you say, unflinching compassion towards the people who truly seek out knowledge. So there has never been a true seeker who has been ever turned away by the Jagadgurus. This is a quality that is common everywhere. In the same way, there has never been a Jagadguru who has not ensured that the Shastras are upheld. So you can be a Jnani or not a Jnani, Shastra is the same for everyone. So adherence to the Shastras and ensuring that this tradition is propagated, that also is common through all the Jagadgurus. Bhakti for Bhagavan, that is also very clearly seen. In fact, these are all very easy to see when we are given visuals. So if you look at one short that was posted in the Peetham's channel, when the Jagadguru went to Murudeshwar, it is a very popular kshetra. There it was Purnima when we had gone there for Yatra, so Acharya went for Samudra Snana there. So as Acharya walked into the ocean, as the Jagadguru walked into the ocean, the second that the ocean washed onto Acharya's feet, the Jagadguru did Namaskara. So how many people even think like that? ఆ సముద్రం ఇట్లా తాకగానే ఒకసారి ఆ సముద్ర దేవుడికి నమస్కారం చేసుకున్నారు. అంటే సముద్ర రూపంలో ఉండే పరమాత్మకి నమస్కారం చేసుకున్నారు. I mean, this is a very small incident, but I mean, these small incidents when put together tell us who the entity truly is, or the true character of the individual. So this kind of bhakti, ఇప్పుడు ఎంత జ్ఞానమైన ఉండొచ్చు, ఎంత పాండిత్యమైన ఉండొచ్చు, ఆ భక్తి ఉండడం వల్ల మాత్రం ఇంకా గౌరవం వస్తుంది ఆ వ్యక్తిత్వం మీద. సో దాట్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ అ పర్సనాలిటీ ఈజ్ ఆల్వేస్ దేర్. And many of the Jagadgurus have written that Sharadamba is my mother. Like I feel as close to her as though she was My mother. So, in fact, that is why Shankaracharya, when he wrote the Sharada Bhujanga Stotra, he had written as Bhaje Sharadambam Ajasram Madambam. I do namaskara to Sharadamba, who is my mother. It is not that she is distant from me. She is my mother herself. So, that bhakti towards Bhagavan is also there. And of course, one more prominent thing is there, that the reason why all these Jagadgurus are similar, is very similar, is especially in Sringeri, the Guru Shishya tradition is seen to its fullest. In the sense that what you would expect from a Guru Shishya relationship, that is to say, if you had only read what the Shastras say about a Guru and a Shishya, and you wish to see that in practice somewhere, you should come to Sringeri. Because what you would expect, the way that a Guru should be, the way that a Guru shapes the Shishya, the way a Guru guides the Shishya, and in the end, the greatest victory of a Guru is when you make a Shishya that is in every way the image of yourself. That is the final victory of a Guru. So, in that sense, the Sringeri Jagadguru Parampara is if this theory is given a practical application, it is that. Which is why in the 35th Acharya used to say, Mahasanatana Varu's Guru, Jyeshta Mahasanatana Varu used to say that choosing a Shishya Swami for the Pitha is an exam, and I have passed with first class marks, is what the Jagadguru used to say. And when the Sannyasa Svikara of Sannidhanam Varu happened, Mahasanathanam Varu said the exact same thing. It is a test, and I have passed with distinction in this. Because the care that is taken to ensure that every aspect of Sampradaya is passed on. When that happens, the natural result is that you have a Shishya that emulates the Guru in all ways. And this emulation is not imitation. It is not that you are saying, okay, he is walking like this, I'll walk like this, he is talking like that, I'll talk like that. The natural result of a Shishya studying the Guru so keenly and with so much devotion is that without any extra effort, the qualities of the Guru are imbibed by the Shishya. And that is very clearly seen, especially with Sannidhanam Varu. Many people have said that when Sannidhanam Varu speaks, or even when Sannidhanam Varu does puja or makes some hand gestures, it is so similar to Mahasanathanam Varu. On a more higher level, there have been people, there was once one incident where when it was Mahasanathanam Varu and Jyeshta Mahasanathanam Varu, they were both in separate places. One person came to take an interview with both of them. He asked the same questions and they had given the same answers. He said, it was a waste of time for me to do the interview twice because both have given the same answers to the same questions, which means that the Guru has made his Shishya into his own image. That is, that is where you find out whether the Guru is a true Guru or not. And every one of the Sringeri Jagadgurus has proven that by showing that their Shishya, who goes on to become the Pithadipati, is in every way their equal. So they are similar and yet different for this reason. It is that is the greatness of the Guru Shishya Parampara, that individuality is maintained, but it is the Guru who is emulated at all times. The allegiance is to that.
After knowing so much about Guru Shishya relationship and how beautifully it is there, cultivated, it is followed in Sringeri, I'm just with a random question. So, how can somebody incult Guru Bhakti? First thing. The other thing is, how can he or she involve in Guru Seva, even though they're physically not, in the premises of Guru? Is there any possibility for this?
How to inculcate Guru Bhakti means, it's exactly as you said. See, after hearing so much about the nature of the Guru, the natural reaction to that is respect upon such an individual. Inculcating Guru Bhakti is only knowing more about the Guru. That is a simple thing. Doing Guru Seva even when not in the presence is simple. Guru Seva is not always pressing the Guru's feet or fanning the Guru or something. It is whatever the Guru's vision is, making that happen. So the Jagadgurus have a vision of what Dharma should be like, of what India should be like, of what Sanatana Dharma should be like. If we do our part in living our lives like that and contributing to activities that are in line with that goal, that itself is Guru Seva. The short answer, this is
that. Got it. Okay, Aite, what if somebody wants to learn Shastras? Where do they have to start from?
The first piece of advice that I always give is learning Sanskritam always helps. You can read so many more books if you know that. So that would be the first thing that I would say. But obviously, I do understand that it is not always maybe practical for everyone to learn the language completely and read. So for that, I do encourage people to read the Moola Granthas, the root texts. See, I mean, yes, we do live in a cinema-heavy society, and we also do live in a very a society with lots of literature, meaning that there are lots of stories that come up. We don't always know whether those are true or not. A simple example is in, I think, one recent movie, Kalki.
Huh.
That last scene where Karna some shoots an arrow, Arjuna's chariot goes back, and then Krishna says, "See, he has pushed me, you, and Hanuman." This is nowhere to be found in the Mahabharata. So, is this true or not? N.T. Ramarao unfortunately made many movies towards the tail end of his career. Many of the movies that he made were perversions of. I am using that perversions because it is, for example, Maya Bazar is also a made-up story, but it is lofty in the sense that it did not do injustice to the characters of any people there. However, many of the things that he did were perversions in that they were very denigratory and in fact counterproductive to the messages of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. So, for example, I'm naming movies so that people don't believe them. Srimad Virata Parva, Sri Rama Pattabhisheka, then Brahmarshi Vishwamitra. These kinds of movies were complete nonsense, to be very clear. In that Sri Rama Pattabhisheka, Ravana comes, he does some Jaya Homa for Rama before the war, he puts a Muhurta, and then Rama does Namaskara to Ravana's feet. Just because you play the part of Ravana does not mean that Ravana should be getting the Namaskara. Right? So these kinds of things have crept into the people wherein people think this actually happened.
Because it's visual influence.
Yeah, it's a visual influence, and it is, I mean, we do have an unfortunate thing of hero cult. So if he did something, of course it must be correct. That kind of thing is also there. So because of all of these things, and we also don't know what is actually true. Most of the people who tell pravachanas today also have not read the Moola Granthas. They're just telling whatever they know. So all of this combines into a wonderful hodgepodge of nonsense that comes out. So I do strongly encourage everyone to read the Moola Granthas. For example, everyone says, how can Rama ask Sita to do the Agni Pariksha? Rama never asked Sita. Cinematic view, maybe they did something. But in Valmiki, Rama never tells Sita to go into the fire. All Rama says is, Eda Dashadisho Bhadre, Gachadevi Yatha Sukham. The 10 directions are open to you. You can go wherever you want. I am not going to tell you to prove anything to me. You are free to go as you please. It is just unfortunately the fact that there were no witnesses to your kidnapping. When Sita was kidnapped, who was there to see? The one person who saw it was Jatayu, was killed. They found the ornaments with the Vanaras, but otherwise what other proof did they have that Sita was kidnapped? On top of that, the Rama had set Lakshmana there as a guard. She forced him to leave. The next place she is seen is in the most rich place on earth at that point. It looks very bad from a public view. So therefore, this is the, and Rama there is also very clear. He says, there is doubt cast on you as someone with an eye problem sees a flame. So the problem is in the eye, not in the flame. Rama is very clear about that. That any doubts cast on Sita are doubts in the eye of the beholder, not in Sita at all. Rama is very clear about that. But all the same, Rama is not a private individual. He is a public figure. He is a king. He has a responsibility to everyone. Therefore, he does have to set certain standards, wherein when you cannot prove for or against, the best thing is to leave the situation. So, I have done my duty in freeing you. You are free to do whatever is most convenient to you. You go wherever it is convenient to you. This is a much different narrative in the Ramayana, in the Moola Ramayana, than what we say wherein you have stayed in another man's house for 10 months. Therefore, you are impure and you have to prove your purity in the fire before I take you back. This is horribly misogynistic.
Yeah.
And this is why we have people calling Rama all sorts of names, because this narrative has gone out. Instead, what I have just told, wherein the queen of a country has ensured that there are no witnesses to kidnapping. She has sent away everyone that was supposed to be with her. And the next place she is seen is in the house of the most wealthy womanizer that is there in the community at that time. It looks horribly bad. So the most prudent thing is, you don't put the blame on her either, but you give her the benefit of the doubt and let her do what is convenient to her. So this is a much more balanced narrative that is there in the Ramayana, in what Valmiki has written, than in what we have made up in later times. So what I encourage people to do is read the Moola Granthas. And to help us with that, we have texts wherein they have given us the shloka And the Pratipadartha Tatparya, each word means this. Pullala Sri Ramachandrulu, especially in Telugu, Pullala Sri Ramachandrulu, great Mahamahapadhyaya, very great scholar, he has published the entire Ramayana, all 6 kandas from Bala till Yuddha Kanda, with each shloka, with each word described.
Yeah.
So read that. Please read. There is no part of that book that you won't understand. The same TTD has done for Bhagavata and Mahabharata. And Gita also, I do not recommend Bhagavad Gita as it is, simply because it is a very sectarian reading. But for example, Ramakrishna Mission has published in Telugu a very nice translation of the Shankara Bhashya. Please read that. Bhagavad Gita is wide open. So you please read what Bhagavad Gita actually has to say. So these kinds of things are all there. So I would encourage the youth to read the Moola Granthas. If you cannot read Samskrita, please choose a text wherein they have given you the Moola and the translation along with the word-to-word translation. That way we can be sure that we are getting an authentic reading. So that would be my advice for people who want to start off.
Vidwan Garu, at this point, I would like to know what is actually the real spirituality for you? Is it study or practice or realization?
Spirituality is yet again a very important part of our dharma that has become very lucrative these days again. But spirituality has to, again, as I said, there are many words that we have been taught that we may not understand the value of. ఇప్పుడు భక్తి అనగానే దాని తర్వాత పదం ఏమిటి? మామూలుగా ఒక భక్తి జ్ఞాన వైరాగ్యాలు, దిస్ ఇస్ అ కామన్ usage in Telugu, right? Bhakti immediately, Jnana immediately, Vairagya.
Bhakti Jnana Vairagya.
Bhakti Jnana Vairagya, Bhakti Jnana Vairagya. This is the triad that we have been told for a very long time. This is spirituality. So you have to have proper devotion towards Bhagavan. Jnana means your approach towards dharma should be that with a desire to know. ఏదో చాలా చాలా పెద్ద పెద్ద పూజలు చేసాడు, ఏవో కర్మకాండాలు పెంచుకోవడం, కర్మ చేయాలి. బట్ ది ఎండ్ గోల్ షుడ్ బి రియలైజేషన్ షుడ్ బి ది ఎండ్ గోల్. And Vairagya is, in our dealings with the world, if our spiritual practices are not helping us overcome the impurities of the mind, there is no point to that. In fact, once Guru Garu had told me that the meter for whether you are progressing in spirituality or not is monitoring your raga dveshas and seeing if they are going down or up. So let us say after 1 year, naakunde raga dveshalu taggaya pirigaya, have my likes and dislikes increased or decreased? Have they increased in number but maybe increased in intensity, decreased in number and increased in intensity, or decreased in intensity but increased in number? All of this is the Atmavalokana, the self introspection that we have to do.
Which is better, the count or
It is better is always low intensity is better, because it will show less, it will have less of an impact on our dealings. So in this way, if our spirituality is not helping us overcome our likes and dislikes and the fickleness of the mind, then the spirituality is not progressing properly. So the point is Vairagya. You should be able to live in the world and be unperturbed by it. So if you are in a so-called spiritual path, but you do not find yourself progressing forward in emotional stability or mental stability, it means that you have to maybe rethink the path that you are in. Not that the immediate fruit of the spiritual path is immediate mental stability. That is of course not the case, but at least gradual progress should be there. So these 3 things need to be there. And the reason why I iterate bhakti is, for many people this bhakti is an emotional crutch. Bhagavan or Ishvara or God is a magical being in the sky that is supposed to solve their problems. That is not how our Shastras have defined bhakti. Bhakti is appreciation for who Bhagavan actually is and what he is actually doing. So the bhakti that is said to be of the highest order is a bhakti that comes with an understanding. So you don't get to say that everything is Bhagavan's will. You have to understand what it means when you say that all of this is Bhagavan's plan. Right? When we say that all of this is Bhagavan's srishti, what does it mean when Bhagavan created that? An understanding of Bhagavan's nature is integral to having true bhakti towards Bhagavan. And of course, jnana means that as I said earlier, that the focus of our practices should be knowledge. We must of course do karma, japalo, pujalo, avanni cheyali. That sandhyavandana, avanni they are non-negotiable. You do have to do them, but we should not get bogged down in them. We should understand that the end goal is realizing something. The end goal is not this. And Vairagya, as I said, it should take us forward in our emotional mental stability. So unless and until we are progressing in all three fronts, we have not achieved a true spiritual outlook. So a true spiritual outlook will have to have all three.
Vidwan Garu, you get to give audience to young people. So when you talk to them, when you interact with them, what surprises you or inspires you? Is it their curiosity or their perception of dharma?
What surprised me the other day, in fact, was that we have grossly misportrayed the youth's interest in dharma. The way that the current elder generation speaks is as though nobody cares about dharma anymore. This is horribly wrong. And a proof of that I got the other day wherein in the Nalakonda Shankaramatha, as part of the Jagadgurus Vijayatra, there was a program some 2 days ago, a few days ago, wherein almost 1300 young adults, in fact we did not allow anyone in over 35 years of age. Everyone was between the ages of 15 to 35. So either studying in college, in university, or newly working. 1300 people sat from 4:30 until 10 without even getting up for anything. They did not stretch. Because, and the reason where I saw that was, the Jagadguru was answering the questions that comes to their mind in a relatable yet very authentic and shastric way. So what that taught me was, that was a lesson for me. What that taught me was that the youth are not lacking in a desire to know. The youth are lacking proper sources of knowledge. They either have these brain dead people who preach dogma without any actual understanding of its implications, or on the other hand, they have people who are so scholarly that they do not have the time or the inclination to come down to the level of the common man and explain. So when you have someone who can hit the right mark, the youth are not only willing to listen, they are seeking to listen. They want to listen. That was one more instance wherein I felt, when we say Jagat Guru, he is the Guru for everyone, not just old people, or even a young IT individual will be glued to the words of the Jagat Guru simply because the Jagat Guru knows how to teach him in his language. So that was clearly seen the other day. So one thing that I am also seeing more so in the last year and a half is that the youth are seeking more authentic information. So my goal is to study the Shastras as best as I can from the Jagat Gurus, learn as much as I can about our Dharma, and present it to those people who are seeking that authentic knowledge. My rule in my Upanyasas is that unless I have read it, I will not say it. I will not give my own takes or my own interpretations of anything unless I have asked the Jagadguru and the Jagadguru has said okay. So who am I to put my own thoughts into a civilization that has produced people like Shankaracharya, Vidyaranya Swami, in a civilization that is shaped by those people? Who am I to put my thoughts into it? I have the faith that they have given us enough material to reach everyone. So when that is the case, I will make sure that I speak only from that. And one more thing that I try to do in my Upanyasas is I will try to speak on a text. So when you will say Shiva Mahatmyam, Dev Mahatmyam, these kinds of things, I try to make sure that there is a text that I am speaking from, such that the people who have listened to it will feel that I have understood a particular text. There is a sense of satisfaction and completion. And I also hope that it encourages people to go back and actually read the text themselves.
Yeah.
So for example, Chandi Saptashati is a very popular text. I won't speak on Devi Mahatmya and generally talk about Amavara. I would rather speak on Chandi Saptashati or on some Arya Shataka or on Chandi Shataka or Saundarya Lahari, rather than just generally speak about some Devi Tattva. Because by the time I go through, I hope that the listeners will have gotten some portion of that and they now have an alambana, they now have a grip on a text that they can go back and then use to read it again. So this is because of one more thing that I've seen in the youth is they are seeking resources. They are not only seeking people, they are also seeking resources on their own, such that they can be self-sustaining in their spiritual inquiries. So we should do our best to provide them with that. So the youth have not surprised me, and I'm speaking as though I am not a youth. I'm 25 years of age, just to clarify. But they do show, or they have been showing that they are more than willing to learn and that they are here to know things as long as there is a respectable person that they do feel is respectable in front of them. and I do not think we can fault them for that. If we have consistently failed to provide them with proper role models of noble conduct who can show, as I said, that the study of Shastras and the follow of this Sampradaya gives you a magnanimity and a noble character. Unless we give them people who can prove this to them, why would we expect them to come and want to learn about this?
Yeah.
So that is one more purpose of the Vijay Yatra of the Jagadguru, that to show people that this is what our dharma is, this is what we do, this is what the world can be if dharma is followed. So the youth, I feel, are very much open to that. We just have to equip them properly, and that is what the Pitha is working for, and that is what Acharya has instructed me to do whenever I speak as well. The Jagadguru has always told me that do not just give some theory, make sure that you make it relatable. Make sure that the people who go out know things when they leave. The reaction to your upanyasa should not be aha enta baga cheppadu. The reaction to your upanyasa should be, oh, there is so much to know and I have known some parts of that. That is how the Jagadguru has instructed me to speak. So when that is the case, that is the vision that the Jagadguru has, that people should know what is there in Sanatana Dharma, and we have the responsibility to present that to the youth. And the Pitha is doing exactly that with the grace of Sharadam and the grace of the Jagadgurus. The Pitha is working tirelessly to do that. So my seva towards the Pitha is directed towards this.
అద్భుతం అండి. శంకర్ల వారి బ్లెస్సింగ్స్తో ఇక్కడ కూర్చున్నాం. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ లలితాదిత్య గారు, శతావధాని, విద్వాన్ గారు. This was really an enriching conversation that we had, and I think at this point I would like to tell that wisdom is not ancient, it is eternal, timeless. And I wish your words continue to guide us and keep us grounded.
Yeah.
Namaskaram.